Test, test, test. Are we good? All right, we are live. What's crack lacking, everybody? Money smart guy Matt Sapaula here. Hailing to you from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to another episode of Millionaire Responds here to what's going on in some of the news, the things that pertain to faith, finance, economy, your pocketbook. And so when we're looking at different things here on Tuesday afternoon, we're going to start this as a trend. Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday at 2 o'clock is when we're going to start doing our YouTube lives. A lot of you are asking questions about, economy, finance. By the way, we got a bunch of questions for you guys from our YouTube channel. In our comment section, you find some questions here. We're going to be responding to, right, Darian? All right. And so, based on some of the things we're going to talk about right quick is housing prices. So, as you may or may not know, I just recently released a book called Keep the Keys. Boom. It became a bestseller, new release, number one, in mortgages, real estate, investing, and buying and selling homes. And I'm not a real estate guy. I own a home. I own some property, but it's not my active business. My active business is building a national life insurance agency. But this book, it became number one because of the financial strategies that's in there to help people not only get the keys to their house, but when life hits, they get to make sure they have a plan to keep the keys. And so sometimes people see real estate professionals, well, all the time, people see real estate professionals, mortgage professionals in their best financial picture, their best credit score, their best down payment, their best income, low debt to income ratios, etc. That way they qualify for the home. They qualify for the refinance. They get in a home, they get that house refinance. And then life hits, life happens. Marriage, divorce, kids, layoffs, new job. Kids want to go to college, retirement, transfer from job to job, gig economy, tariffs, infrastructure, AI infrastructure disrupting companies for mass layoffs in companies. Life happens. And when life happens, you got to make sure you have a strategy, financial strategy to not only get the keys to the house, the place where you live, your home, but also ways to keep the keys. Now, there's a school of thought out there that people should rent, that you should just be renting, and never own a house. There's a growing narrative of that. A lot more financial influencers, so to speak, are educating people on the merits of the American dream dying in terms of home ownership. But I'm arguing the case is opposite of that. By the way, I rented for a long time. I rented for a large part of my life coming out the military, even though I had access to a VA loan, but I rented for a good 5, 6, 7 years until I found a home in Chicago that was up for rent, and I was able to purchase the least expensive house on the most expensive block based on a rent-to-own strategy. And I was negotiating with an attorney who owned the property, but he wanted out of the property. So I found a motivated renter or landlord, and I was finding also a motivated seller. So I found a situation where he wanted really out of the property, just didn't want to keep renting it. So I became the best tenant because part of our term sheet, part of our agreement, that every one of my mortgage or my rent payments applies to a 50% down payment to allow my mortgage to be less. So therefore, he's eating some of this equity up front. That was my financial strategy, renting this home as a single father of 3 kids in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, in the height of the real estate boom in the mid 2000s. So I bought his house a year later because my down payment was a larger than normal security deposit. I gave him $10,000, $15,000 up front to exercise my rent to own strategy. And then after a year, he'd sell me on the price at a home and an already agreed upon price 12 months prior. And guess what happened to real estate prices in that year? In the mid 2000s, it increased. So I made money on the property. I made money by not having to have a normal downstroke of real estate, a down payment on the property. And I was able to use some of my rent, which is approximately $3,000-$4,000 a month, and use 50% of that as a down payment to further lower the purchasing price of the house. So therefore, when I wrote the contract to purchase a house or fill out the mortgage application, the 1003 to the loan officer, it was on that agreed upon price in the contract that we agreed on 12 months ago. Good deal. Haven't seen the guy since. He was happy. And I was able to raise my children in a better quality neighborhood, safe neighborhood, with a better public education system. At that time, I couldn't afford any private school, any homeschooling that we do today. But that was my rental with the strategy. So people making this argument. Let's take a look at this video about why certain people today can't buy homes as before. Let's take a look.
So first, let's go back to the median U.S. housing price over the past 50 years, up to 2022. Now, add income onto it. Yeah.
Median wages have not kept pace with the increase in the cost of housing.
This is Michelle Dickerson. She studies
why it's become so hard for lower income and middle income people to become and remain middle class now.
Let's go back about 50 years and look at a couple whose household income is exactly the national U.S. median.
Okay, so I already see how they're framing this argument. That back in 1970s, a couple with a house, median income is lower than they can buy the average house, which is lower at that time. I can already see it. Today, they're saying the prices up here of homes, but the income is here. That's the narrative. That's the excuse why people can't buy homes.
At that time, in 1972 money, about $10,000. Imagine, right? They want.
Wow, imagine back in the day, 1972, the average annual household income is $9,600 a year. Woo!
To buy a house, the median U.S. home price at that time was about $29,000.
How many of y'all would buy property back in 1970s if you knew homes were $29,000? Crazy, right? Everything's real. Everything's relative.
It is about 3 times their income.
Before the 1980s, it was possible for a young person to graduate from high school, find a job that was a full-time, 40-hour-a-week job with benefits that paid them enough for them to be able to buy a home.
Now let's go 50 years forward and run those numbers for 2022. Median income, median home price. This house is more than 6 times this household's income. So that is what we're looking at when we go back to that chart of income and housing prices.
Okay, so let's go back to again. Let me skip back there. There it is.
That chart of income and housing prices is more than 6 times this household's income.
Okay, so 6-time household income to buy the average house in America today. So it's here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, median household income is about $74,000. Average house $470,000. You look at a mortgage payment around $3,500 a month.
So that is what we're looking at when we go back to that chart of income and housing prices, again, adjusted for inflation, and compare this gap to this gap.
Okay, so they're talking about the housing gap. So what's my take on this? What's my take on this? Here's my take on this. When you're looking at median home prices going in this area, everyone's crying that it's harder to buy a house today than in the 80s. But listen, Linda, our parents are trying to pay what, 12 to 18% interest rates back in the 80s? Remember, that was the Carter administration. Interest rates were 12 and 18 and 15 and 14% back in it. By the way, they didn't have Netflix. They didn't have Uber Eats. They didn't have all these conveniences of Amazon Prime draining their bank accounts. Back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, you know what most people did? They stacked cash. They lived lean, and they made it happen. The challenge that we have today, and the truth is, it's just not housing prices. Of course, I'm not saying that it's not a factor. It is a factor. But the truth today, it's not just housing prices that's affecting people. It's lifestyle prices. I'll give you an example. I'm at Chick-fil-A the other day. Don't judge me. At Chick-fil-A. And the guy comes out. He's taking my order because there's a long line. How many guys have seen a long line at Chick-fil-A drive-thru? So he's taking his order. And I noticed his belt was Gucci. It's the same belt as mine. But I have a different income level. And I bought that in my 40s. This guy is probably his first, second job in the world. And he is in his teens wearing a Gucci belt, taking my order at Chick-fil-A. You see where I'm going with this? So the problem is not necessarily what it costs for things, but people are just spending more money on stuff because they try to impress people that don't really care about them anyway. I'm asked, says, excuse me, young man, what's with the Gucci belt? That's your work belt? At Chick-fil-A? Seriously, that's your work belt. Your work belt is a Gucci belt. Your work belt is right. I see the ladies at the cashier, eyebrows out to here. When they blink, they wipe the windows. Man, I mean, gorgeous, by the way. Okay, makeup done, hair did, nails did. Making what? $15 an hour? $18 an hour? For what? I mean, squared away. So instead of whining about housing prices, check all the subscriptions you have on your phone right now that you don't even know you have subscriptions on your phone. I like this app. Maybe this is a plug. I'm not getting paid for this, but there's an app called Rocket. The app called App Rock. I forgot what the specific name is, but it's a way for you to connect your bank with this app, and it goes over all the subscriptions that you have that you may not even remember that you had. And all that stuff adds up to hundreds of dollars a month. And people don't even think about it, because think about this. How easy and seductive is this cell phone right now for you to spend money? I mean, it's to the point. Well, I'm curious, how many of y'all right now on your phone use either Apple Pay, or what's it for Android? Is it called Google Pay or Google Pay? How many use your, like this is your wallet. Your cell phone is your wallet. Instead of you actually carrying a wallet with your credit cards and cash, how many guys have your phone right here? And this just being a device to talk, text, and email and social media. Now this is your wallet. This is your financial device. How many of y'all pay stuff like this? And next thing you know, bam, you got 8 purchases that day. You didn't even know it. At least back in the day, at least in the 70s and 80s, guess what we used to have to do? We had to go down to the bank to cash our check. And guess what you felt in your pocket when you cashed your check? Cash in your pocket. You had a G, 2 Gs, 3 Gs in your pocket. And you just stacked cash. That was your flex of having cash on hand. You know what the flex is today? Credit cards. And by the way, I'm guilty. Well, let me show you, just full transparency. Right? I actually still, what is this thing? A wallet? I still carry cash. Still carry cash. I got credit cards. Let's make sure I do this. I can show you the numbers. Right? I got my plastic or my platinums. Right? I got it right here. Right? We're not showing the front. I like how you're doing this. So you're protecting the credit card. I love it. Here's my cat, right? So I got my platinums here, Amex, etc. I guess that's the flex today. But here's a flex today, is the fact that I can get the credit card. The fact that I can get the credit card doesn't necessarily mean it's something for me to charge on the credit card. Make sense? So when we're talking about lifestyle creep, it's a real thing. So let me offer you some solutions after seeing this type of stuff, this ridiculousness about why people can't buy a home today. And by the way, the blame game, the victim game, it's such an attractive message. That's why I can't buy a house. That's why it's so hard to own today, that it's easier for us to rent. Check your bank account. Matter of fact, do this. Do an audit. Do an audit right now on your phone. How many apps on your phone take money from you? App Store. How easy is it right now to go on social media and instantly buy something? I've done it. How easy is it for you to just go on social media, scroll. Oh, I like this product. Buy it right there. Boom. You don't even bust out. You don't even have to punch in your credit card, because you did it originally to begin with the first time. And then your apps ask you, or your browsers ask you, would you like to keep this for future purchases down the road? And you say yes. And the browsers, the apps keep your credit card info, so therefore it's easier for you to make a purchase. So how fast is it to get one-click shopping on Amazon? How fast is it for you to get one-click shopping on eBay? How many guys have a department store app that you connected, or like Under Armour or whatever, Dick's Sporting Goods, whatever? It's on your phone, and you buy something from that department store, that retailer that's on your phone right now. It's easy for you to buy a product from their store easier on your phone. So how many apps on your phone today take money from you? Audit that. For convenience purposes, right? That's why you do it? No problem. I got you. Flip side, let me flip it. How many apps on your phone bring you money? So how many apps proportionally are bringing you money in your bank account, and how many apps are taking money from your account proportionally? Good audit. Good self-selection. And we spend a lot of time buying stuff, spending stuff, and we're not paying attention to this thing called lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep. How many remember your high school job? And the high school job is, I had no bills, live with mom and dad, whatever. Even if you're a single mom, single dad, it was your money. You felt like a man. You felt like a woman. You're grown. I can buy my own stuff. I work at Foot Locker. I work at Burger King. I work at McDonald's. By the way, my twins, I had my twins work at McDonald's when they were in their high school years because I wanted them to know what working for a franchise and a system and a format looked like, what working for a boss felt like before they became boss for themselves. And then you start buying things. And then you have a relationship, lifestyle creep. Now you got to afford a relationship. Now, instead of just depending on subway, bus, train, or a bike, now you got a car. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now you got to afford insurance for that car and gas. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now you want an apartment. Now you want to move out. You want to be grown. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now you want to furnish this apartment. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now we want to bring some friends over, impress them, and entertain. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now we do this every weekend. Boom, lifestyle creep. Now you want to go hang out with friends and party evenings and weekends. Right now, football's back and we got to do tailgating, right? Boom, lifestyle creep. Now we got to go to the games and we just can't sit in the nosebleeds. We got to sit in a 50-yard line. Boom, lifestyle creep, because that's my expectation. And you're still making $20 an hour. Still making $25 an hour. There's nothing wrong shopping at Marshall's. There's nothing wrong shopping at TJ Maxx. I still do. Matter of fact, I bet you $100 right now. You come to my house, you go in my closet, guess what? I have hung still with some tags on it because my wife, that's where she likes to go shop before we go on traveling to like Bora Bora and Hawaii, all these different, Cancun, all these different places. I got shirts there still with TJ Maxx tags on it. Matter of fact, go on Instagram and follow me, a Money Smart Guy, and I'll put it on my stories for you to see. I still got clothes in my closet, a couple shirts in my closet. I still have TJ Maxx and Marshall tags on it. I just won't wear it. Hey, babe, I'm just going to go to the beach, just wear some shorts. That's it. But if you want to cut lifestyle creep, your down payment's sitting in your bank account right now. You don't even realize it. Your down payment's in your fund budget. I was having a conversation with one of my daughters. And so she's a server, making an honest living, honest wage. Never went to college. I coached her a long time ago not to go to college because she wanted to learn English, or her sister wanted to learn dance. I said, you don't go to college for English or dance. You just go do it. Go make money doing it. Okay? And so, and part of the reason is I'm going to fund STEM, science major, technology major, engineering major, math major, or medicine major, and legal. If you want to be one of those 5, I will fund that college education for you. But if you want to go to college, just learn about English and sociology and whatever. No, you're not going to spend 4 or 5 years in college to have $100,000 in student loan debt that I'll half pay you with to get a job that makes you $50,000, $60,000 a year. No. And by the way, there's some reports today that the biggest unemployment gap that people are facing right now are college graduates that can't find a job. And guess what? You can't find a job. Guess what? That's what you now have to pay 6 months after graduation. That's student loan debt bill. Don't wait for the market to save you. Play offense. It's not about the cost of your house. It's about the cost of your habits. If you want new money, you got to have new habits. I didn't have a pair of J's. I grew up in Chicago. I'm an 80s baby. 85 Chicago Bears. 84 Michael Jordan got drafted to Chicago Bulls. I grew up with the Bulls, the Bears, Blackhawks. I'm North Side kid, so follow the Cubs. People watching Chicago probably have a different opinion of me now that I said that. But I didn't have a pair of J's until I was 42 years old. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can show you a picture. The first pair of Jordans that I ever got, I don't even know if I can find it here. But the first pair of Jordans I ever got was because Patrick Bet-David awarded me my first pair of J's after winning a sales contest. Awarded me my first pair of J's after winning a sales contest. Here it is. Matter of fact, I don't know if you guys see that. Let me blow that up. There it is. My first pair of J's. Patrick Bet-David awards this to my wife and I on stage in Las Vegas. And they're not even retros, bro. Those are like Jordan 18s or 19s or whatever, right? They're not even retros. I'm 42 years old in that picture. Finally get my first pair of J's. Numero uno. The fancy word I want to interject into your life is this word called, you ready for it? You ready for it? This fancy word I want you to consider interjecting your finances.
When you buy a home in
And that fancy word is called delayed gratification. I'm sorry, those two words. I'm PhD. I don't have a college degree. It's two words. Delayed gratification. Two words. Delayed gratification. So stop waiting for the market to save you. Play offense. It's not about the cost of the house. It's about the cost of your habits. And housing, in my opinion, isn't harder. And it's just different. So my wife, she turned, 37, 38 years old. We finally bought her first house a few years ago here in Frisco, Texas. This happens to be my third home I've purchased in my entire life. After moving here from Chicago, I bought 2 homes in Chicago, bought 3 different real estate investment properties. Matter of fact, let me just see if I can show you a little bit here on the screen. Real estate. Here's my real estate deals. Here you go. I'm going to share this. So here's some of my real estate deals. I'm doing a walkthrough. Doing a walkthrough of my house. My guy Victor was walking through his house. Outside, this is a 4-unit I bought in Hummel Park. That's the phone number I wanted people to call in case they wanted to rent an apartment. That's one of my buildings right there. I bought some real estate there. There you go. Bought that real estate here in the mid-2000s. Good property. This is another property I purchased in, where was this at? This is in Elmwood Park on Harlem and North Avenue in Chicago. Look at this. Is an old HVAC system. Old, look how old that thing is. From the 1950s, 1960s. We bought this. This townhouse was right next to a college, Concordia College, right there, and I'm going to rent this out to college students. We redid the bathrooms. Bought this property. I'm wearing a Barong Tagalog. For those of you Filipino guys know what I'm talking about. This is my house. Another house I purchased, rehabbed, opened it up, rehabbed the kitchens and bathrooms, updated this bad boy. It's my son there. He's about 7, 8 years old. He's now 30 years old. This is my son who now made me a grandfather ×2. So we were rehabbing the bathrooms and we put the toilet in the kitchen. It was the best spot. Right? We're gutting out the property. So that's a little bit about my real estate investing here. So I've done this. So not only have I bought homes, but also invested in real estate. And I can tell you, housing today isn't harder. It's just different. And difference requires discipline. Just earn it. Just find a way to earn it. Let's take a look at another video here. What'd you have over here too as well?
For $14.75 an hour. His wife, Julie, not part of Larry Gessick's retirement plan. The 77-year-old electrician by trade leaves at 5:30 a.m. and heads for his part-time job unloading trailers at a local supermarket in St. Petersburg, Florida, for $14.75 an hour. His wife, Joyce, 66, prepares for her workday, making $14 an hour as a full-time legal administrator.
It's not really a retirement.
What is it?
It's working every day.
The Gessicks came out of retirement not because they wanted to, but because they had to, and are among the 11 million Americans, 1 in 5 over 65, who are still working.
It's hard, 77, still busting my butt.
So I call it the work, retire, repeat syndrome.
Labor economist Teresa Ghilarducci says work is the new retirement.
More than half of the people who are retired right now do not have enough money to be retired.
Who's to blame for all of this?
I blame policymakers who experimented with our retirement system 40 years ago, and they are not saying the experiment failed.
That experiment is what we know today as the 401k, named after part of a 1978 law that offered companies an alternative to the traditional pension plan.
Okay, so pause right there. 401k comes from the IRS code 401 Chapter K. You have a direct relationship with the federal government for the rest of your life. You have a general partner called the IRS, and you have a limited partner called you. It's your money. So what happened back in the day is that people work for a union, work for a company. If you do 10, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever that time frame is, you work for them for the best years of your life. They extend a pension to you for the rest of your life. So you give them the best working years of your life. They, in turn, take care of you for the rest of your life. Okay. So, for example, in the military, if I was to retire in the military, I would be able to retire at 37 years old. Why? Because I got in when I was 17 years old, do 20 years in the military, in the Marine Corps. I'm retired at 37 years old. My retirement check would have been about $1,500 to $2,000 a month for the rest of my life after giving 20 years of my life to Uncle Sam, assuming that my head, my body, my spirit, my mental state, my physical body is still put together. In exchange, I'd get a check for $1,500 to $2,000 a month for the rest of my life. Now, I did the math, I said it wasn't worth it. Why? Because I stumbled across entrepreneurship in the late 1990s. I got involved in the insurance business in the early 2000s. I realized what my time was worth. I realized what I was worth. And I wasn't willing to reduce myself to what the military was paying me, because my first obligation at this point is being a father, not being a Marine. I'll always be a Marine, but my first priority after having kids is to be a father first. That's my priority. I'm not trying to push that on anybody else. But to me, my value system, I got to take care of my family. And take care of my family means being present, to be a provider, to be a protector, but being here, not over some foreign country for 6 months to 12 months a year, and they can care less about who I am, what I do, and welfare of my family back home in the States. So I chose my family over brotherhood, over the guilt trip of not being deployed with my brothers and sisters to combat overseas. I got over that very quickly. Some people don't. Some veterans don't. Their identity is in uniform. My identity, for me, was in Christ. My identity was God. My identity was my last name and the stewardship responsibility I had to have these children that I'm responsible for raising. That's my reality. And so when I decided to take a look at different things, I forgone my 8 years in the military, and I have nothing to show for outside the salary that the military paid me for 8 years. I have no pension. I have no retirement account. I bet on me. And that bet paid off. Lots, tons. Let me give you an example. Let me just go here to military salary for E5 in 1999. Okay, let's take a look at this. What does Google AI say? Oh, here we go. In 1999, a military E5, that's me, sergeant, with at least 6 years of service, pay increased to 1614. That was me. So what's 1614? People don't believe me when I say this. What's 1614 divided by 2, assuming this is before tax? 1614 divided by 2 is approximately $807 every 2 weeks. That was my reality. That was my military paycheck. So if everybody talking about it's so much harder to buy a house today, guys, I made ends meet knowing that my reality, my identity was making $800 every 2 weeks. That was me. I just chose to improve. That's a funny thing about capitalism. That's a funny thing about free enterprise. I'm free. I'm free to think as big or small as I want to think. And I can't complain on the results I don't have, for the money I don't have, for the lack of self-improvement or the work I was willing to do. I couldn't blame anybody else but me. That's what I love about entrepreneurship. You want to blame somebody? Blame you. Look at the man or the woman in the mirror. And improve. If you don't like the reflection, improve. And so that was my reality, making $800 every 2 weeks. People, oh man, it's so awesome for you to be a millionaire. That was my reality. $850 every 2 weeks. And I got in my first check. How many guys have practically your entire first check goes to rent? right there, you're raising his hand. I used to be that way until I found ways to level up. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It took me years to do it. But I knew the mindset that where I was at today is not where I'm going to be 4 or 5 years from now, because I was willing to work, improve, and to grow. Because today, nothing's in your way. The only thing that's in your way today is your excuses and your inability to want to change and to develop and find systems and processes and expand your bandwidth, so therefore you can get out of life what you expected for the work proportion that you put in. And people don't want to suck shit for 4 or 5 years. Did I just say that? People don't want to eat dirt for 4 or 5 years. That's the Marine Corps came out of me. Okay? But that's the reality of building your dreams. It's the reality of building a business. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be the road that's well-traveled. It's not a smooth road either. It's a road less traveled. And most of the times, if you don't have the opportunity to come from a rich family and you want to be rich, great. Then a rich family ought to come out of you based on what? The expanding of your bandwidth, expanding the skills, the things that you need to know to grow. So that's where we're going. How many guys have been facing a pinch? How many guys have been out there saying, man, this is so tough, man. I'm just facing inflation, just facing these things. So I'm finding out how I can go ahead and get ahead. So here's my back to this video here, the 401k. Let me go back to this.
The thought was that Americans just need a little bit of financial literacy and they can just save on their own.
But in fact, many of today's older workers were never taught enough about saving and investing for retirement.
I grew up on a farm. Nobody there instructed any of us to put money aside and make your own way later on down the road.
Whether you're past 65 like the Gessics or almost their ages, there are a few rules of the road to keep in mind. Basically, everyone needs a plan. First, figure out when it's best to claim Social Security.
As fast as possible. If you can get it at 62 years old, get it at 62 years old. Do not wait till you're 70 years old to get your Social Security. And by the way, they're pushing further and you're older and older. When do you get your full retirement account? You get your full Social Security. Get your money now, today. Now, if you're still working, here's the downside to that. If you get your Social Security today, they're going to discount where they're going to pay you. What they're going to pay you from your Social Security. They're going to discount from that from 62 years old to about 67 to 70 years old. They're going to discount because you're still actively working. I think the limit is about $45,000 a year. If you're still actively working, you'll be penalized what you get from your Social Security. But at least that money's in your pocket because they're wanting you to defer you not touching your money until 70-some years old. The longer it takes for you to take your money out, the better for the Social Security system. I'm looking out for you. I care more about you because I think the whole scam is a Social Security system. One of the biggest things that can take out of your paycheck is taxes. So you got to find ways for strategies to get taxes back directly or indirectly back into your pocket. I don't know if I got it here. Yeah, 1 second. Let me get out my library. 1 second. Book recommendation. Get this book. See if we can go front. Lower your taxes big time. There you go. Lower your taxes big time. Get this book. Written by my good friend Sandy Botkin, CPA, attorney, Esquire. Okay, that's him in the back. We brought him out to our conference a few years ago. We're about to invite him again. But Sandy Botkin, first, you want to lower your taxes? Here we go. You want some solutions? Here we go. You may not like them. Why? Because it causes you to have to adjust and have new habits and look at the world differently. If you don't look at the world differently, sit in your existing world. Book, chapter number 1 of this book. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can see that. See that? Why you would be brain dead not to start your home-based business. In other words, you got to have a side hustle. Why? There are 2 tax systems in this country, one for salaried employees and one for small home-based business owners. A home-based business will make you better off than a second income. Instead of getting a second job, third job, we do workshops at our office 4 times a week here in Carrollton, Texas. I have many different offices across the country. I have a Keep the Keys book tour. I'm going out to my different offices across the country here in the next 2-3 months. But I promise you, for every financial workshop I host, I ask people this one question. How many have a second or third job just to make ends meet? How many hands go up? People have 3 jobs, 4 jobs, because people's knee-jerk reaction to making more money is to do what this gentleman did here, is to go get a job for $14.74 an hour. Instead of doing what? Starting a home-based business. A home-based business will make you better off than a second income. Traditional job security has declined. You'll probably save $2,000 to $10,000 per year by starting your own part-time business. Okay. And by the way, you can tell I've been reading this book because I got a bunch of highlights here. It talks about, let me paraphrase it real quick. How many of y'all have a cell phone? How many of y'all have internet at the house? How many of y'all have a car? How many of y'all once in a while you like eating food? If you're just an employee, how much of these 4 expenses that you spend every month are tax deductible? Zero chance. But if you start a home-based business, tutoring, home remodels, contracting, teaching people about whatever your career was, now you're teaching the next generation. I don't care what it is. Teaching piano. There's a guy I learned from. He's based in Miami. I just learned playing the piano with him through Zoom. I pay him $80 a month just for him to give me piano classes on Zoom. And he's got a great Instagram channel, talk about how to play the piano better, gospel style, pop style, whatever. And he teaches you over Zoom. He charged me $80 a month and I get access to all of his courses, how to play the piano better. I play him $80 a month like a gym membership just so I can play the piano. So he turned his hobby, his passion, into a profitable enterprise. You can do the same. You just need to know how to organize it. And side note, if you want to know how to organize it, connect with me on Connect. I'll show you how to organize your game plan. There's an app called Connect on your phone. You can download it. I have people reaching out to me on Connect. Let me see here, my public profile here. Let's see if I can find this here. Find an expert, Matt Sapaula. On Connect, we have, here we go. Here's an app that you can find me at called Connect. Find me on this app called Connect. I respond to your questions, video message, text message. You want to set up a 15-minute video chat? Connect with me on this app called Connect. I wonder if I can find it up here online. Connect. Matt's, here we go. I am. Okay, here we go. Here's an app called Connect. Okay, you can find me on this app called Connect. You want to know how to establish a business? That's what I do. Areas that can help, reach out to me. Here are the rates. Figure out whichever is affordable to you and do a little investment in you. Stop being cheap. How much y'all spend today on lunch? See, that's what I'm talking about. People, oh, well, now I got to pay Matt $20 for a text message. Yeah, you should. To answer your question is probably keeping you up late at night. Ask me a question, questions. Send it in one text message. I'll respond to you. Be happy to for $20. And by the way, I don't have to do this. I want to do this. Over 375 people have reached out to me, have booked consultations with a text message. You just give some context. Some people want a text message answer. The people want a video answer. People want to do a 15-minute video call. It's $55 a minute with me on this app via FaceTime, face-to-face. Come to this very prepared, though. So here are the reviews of people that have connected with me, okay? So if you want some questions to your answers, connect with me on Connect. So back to starting your home-based business. Second, the other thing about a home-based business is find a partner. Find somebody who's going through the same stuff as you, and they just have just as much desire, fight, and ambition to get out of that financial situation than you do. Then you partners, and then you're running buddies. Okay, now you found yourself somebody you can run with that shares the same pain you are experiencing to yourself. When I started my business, PHP agency, started my business, life insurance agency, started my business in just being a solo insurance agent, building my practice. I associate with people, they were just as pissed off about that situation as I am. I found a way to have lunch with them so that we can get together, do some fellowship, do some talking, chit-chatting, but also encouraging each other to the next level. And so that's what you want to find, power of proximity associations. Because let me ask you this question. How many people after high school, college, the military, sports, have you actually actively made new friends with? Because making new friends with people, that takes work, that takes effort, because naturally you're not around them all day like you are in college, like you are in high school, like you are in the military, like you are at your sorority or fraternity. When you're actually grown and you're doing your things, you got to find different ways to make new friends. I'm constantly actively, proactively looking to make new friends, associations, and going to conferences and events that allow that connection to happen. The other thing too, as well, I would say is you got to look into some of my content here on retirement strategies using life insurance and annuities. Annuities is the only financial vehicle in America right now that makes sure whatever you put your money in there is guaranteed, contractually speaking, not to lose what you put in. You'll now also lose what you've earned in previous years. It's called fixed index annuities. We got a bunch of videos here. We'll share on our description in the comment section below about videos you can go to understand more about annuities. So therefore, whatever money you've gotten from a former employer, you roll that into a 401k, not all of it, but some of it, into a rollover IRA. So therefore, you can guarantee your income for the rest of your life. Now, you may not like that income, but at least you know now for the rest of your life, this income here is guaranteed to your household every month for the rest of your life. That's called annuities. But there's a lot of conversation today about annuities because a Powerball, was it a Powerball winner? The question was, if you win $1 billion, do you take the $400 million now? Because when you win the lottery, they give you two options. You can take the check right now of a discounted rate. In this case, instead of, he was a Powerball winner, but they'll pay out that Powerball over a 30-year or 20-year period. And guess where they put that money? They put into an annuity to guarantee you that payment for the rest of that 20 or 30 years. Or forget the annuity, you can take a lump sum check today, but it's $400 million in that $1 billion Powerball example. So what would you do? Put in the comments. I wonder what you'd say. Would you take a $400 million check today when you win a $1 billion Powerball? Or do you take a $1 billion 20-year payment? By the way, what is that? $1 billion. $1 billion, let me put it in this calculator. Do one more. $1 billion divided by 20 years. That's 50. Would you rather have $400 million today or $50 million a year for the next 20 years? What would you rather have? I'm curious. Put it in the comment section. Would you rather have $400 million today or $50 million every year for the next 20 years? I know what I'm doing. By the way, guess. Is anybody guessing what I would do? Guess what I would do. Is there a way to put a poll on there? What do you think I would do? You think I would go out there and ask for a $50 million check for the next 20 years or a $400 million check right now? What do you think I would do? What do you think the smart money play is? All right. G. Bernie says what? I would take lump sum $400 million. Good job, G. Bernie. You answered my question. I'd take the $400 million today. Why? Because if you're up on your financial literacy, you're up on your next opportunity, and you're clear about where you want to go, as soon as you have some funding, man, you're ready to make that first phone call. That's another question. When presented with the question, ask any of these, or go search some of these lottery winner videos. So what are you going to do now that you've won $1 billion? What would you do with it? And people have these great answers. Yeah, I'd take care of my mom. I'd take care of my parents. I'd feed the poor, blah, 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 blah. Great. So who's your first phone call? For me, every time I was business planning, I know exactly who I'm calling as soon as these funding sources come my way, because I know these funding sources are about to happen, knowing about the work I'm about to put in. All right. There's some questions. Are there some questions that we have in some of the comments? All right, here, let me take a look at some of these questions. Okay. All right. By the way, just as I'm looking at these questions, just FYI, guys, I will be doing a Keep the Keys book tour every week in another part of the country. So go to keepthekeysbook.com and get some free scorecards and worksheets there for you in terms of my book, Keep the Keys. Real world strategies for homeowners to build liquidity and control during tough financial times. I can get you some free tools there. Just submit your information there. We'll email this to you, PDF, no cost, on a scorecard of where you stand in your retirement in relation to your house or your real estate investing, and it relates to what other areas potentially you could put your money into based on the worksheet that I have there too as well. All right, so here's some questions. All right, let me go over some of these questions. All right, first question here. Let me expand it. Should I use debt as part of my investment strategy? Well, that's what using mortgages is all right? So you use the bank's money. Here's a better question. Why wouldn't you use debt? That's right. Why wouldn't you use debt? Of course I'd use debt all day, because there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. Why? Because I look at debt as a tool to leverage money, to borrow one rate, to earn another. Most people use debt to do what? Lifestyle creep, lifestyle upkeep, lifestyle flex. I don't use debt for any of that. I use debt to borrow it, run it. Let's say at 6%, but I want to earn 8. 6%, I want to earn 10. 6%, I'm going to earn 20. There's a guy who just sent me a text message right now, literally right now. He's asking me if I want to get in on an event that he's doing. He's bringing some big names out here. If I invest in his event, my return will be this. So in other words, he's coming to me to borrow money in debt, and he owes me a certain percentage of the ticket sales. That's smart use of money. He's using my money to promote something that he's doing. And once he executes on what he's doing, I share in the profits. I like that. I like that. Why? Because I learned very hard, very tough, very uncomfortably in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, always how to tuck money away. I did 2 things. I learned how to give and learned how to save. Give to tithes and taxes, Uncle Sam, and pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and pay unto God what is God's. The second thing I learned how to do is to tuck my money away, save my money away, not put myself in a position of comparing myself to other people. They're doing it. They're enjoying. They're partying. I did that in my 20s. I just stopped doing it in my 30s. My 30th birthday was the last day I partied hardcore at the clubs. After that said, I'm done. And now, sometimes when I drink a little bit too much whiskey, having a little good times with my veteran brothers and sisters, it's not like I'm, shit talking drunk. It's not that. I'll never get that way. But I can also tell the next morning if I drink just too much whiskey, how my body responds to recovery. I don't like that recovery process. I don't like waking up the next day, oh man, I thought about last night, I shouldn't have drank that extra whiskey. So I drink whiskey in extreme moderation. 1 glass, I'm good. Old fashioned, maybe 1 or 2, I'm good. I'm not boom. I'm not throwing these things down like I used to. Anyway, long answer to go back to the situation of debt as a saving and investment strategy. I used a $5,000 cash advance on my credit card to fund and finance my first workshop for financial services. I did a workshop called, matter of fact, I don't know if I have the binder over here. Let's see. I don't. It's in my other office. But I did a workshop back in the day called 9 Ways to Cut Taxes. I spent $5,000 on direct mail. Remember that? You go direct mail at 5 different zip codes: 6154, 60523, 60525, 60524. I still remember these zip codes to this day because I did that for 10 years. Every month, I put $5,000 in direct mail campaigns to 5 different zip codes and spent $2,000 to feed people when they come to my workshop. So $7,000 marketing campaign, that was my budget every month. Would I use a cash advance on my credit card to fund it and get off the ground? Once I made $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of commissions from selling financial products and services, I not only paid off my credit card, but I capitalized. So therefore, if I wanted to use my credit card again, I can make sure I pay off that credit card in 30 days. I wasn't one of those guys that was holding on to debt and allowing the bank to earn interest juice off my money. So I was strategic about debt. I was strategic about equity inside my house. I strategically, myself and clients that we work with, strategically take out cash out of our properties because we want to have the equity in our control, in our policies, in our investments, not inside the house for the bank to control. Because the more money you have built equity inside your house, the more powerful and in control the bank is, not you. You think you are. I learned this in 07, 08, 09, to practical example. I remember the first homes that in Chicago they foreclosed on where the people had almost paid off their house, but they couldn't afford to keep paying their mortgage. So these people, because of the Great Recession, lost their jobs. 401ks become 201ks. They couldn't keep paying the mortgage, even though they had a lot of equity built inside the house, even though they doubled down on mortgage payments in previous years and previous months. When push come to shove during the Great Recession, guess which home they wanted to foreclose on the most? The one with the most amount of mortgage on the same property, or the one with the least amount of mortgage on the same property? The bank chose the people with the most equity in the house, the least amount of debt in the property to foreclose on. Because if they can take that house back, spend the $50,000 to foreclose on your legal fees, and put that money back out to auction and sell it for whatever they sell it to recoup their costs, to get that bad finances debt off their books. That's how they do it. So I like using strategic debt as part of my investment strategy. I'm not saying go into debt. I don't have a credit card program to sell you. I don't have a credit improvement business to sell you. All I got to say is just pay your bills on time. Anytime any of these medical officers say you owe something on your deductible, pay it off right away. Don't wait for them to keep calling you. Next thing you know, send a collection agency, and collection agency's got a $500, $1,000 bill on you. Pay it off right away. I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's going to save you on your credit score down the road, because it takes so long to build a credit score, and one bad month to bring it all back down again. It's like financial Jenga. Okay. How can I keep my personal question here is, how can I keep my personal and business finances separate? It's very simple. As soon as our business income comes in, we spend through the business account. Whatever's left over, we keep into a savings account to capitalize into our business account, and we pay ourselves a salary after that. The money goes into a personal bank account. Our salary goes into a personal bank account. We have three bank accounts, three major bank accounts: the business bank account, my wife's bank account, my bank account. We have business goals. She has her goals, and I have my goals. Anytime she wants to spend money on something, go spend it. That's part of your salary. That's part of your budget. I have no business in your bank account. You do your thing. Same thing with me. And she can't see into my bank account. I can't see into her bank account. But if she ever asked me to go into my bank account, no problem. Want me to log in? What you need? Okay. My phone. Anything you need, sweetheart. Want to look at my phone, on my passwords and all my DMs? No problem. Knock yourself out. I got nothing to hide. But we just have that freedom and trust amongst the two of us. Okay. But it's all separate. So therefore, if she wants to spend money on whatever she spends money on, it's up to her. I don't tell her what she spends money on. She doesn't tell me what I spend money on. We spend money to and through the business for business expenses. And a large part of what we do today is through the business, because we find specific ways to lower our taxes, that instead of it being expense items on a personal account, right? You go here, back to this book. Number 5, how to turn your car into tax deductible gold mine. You want to read about that? Buy this book. And by the way, it's not mine, making no money sharing this with you. Chapter 3, how to turn your vacation into a tax deductible write-off. How to properly do it in accordance with the IRS laws. Make sure you stay out of bad juju. Okay? So when we're looking at these different areas of personal and financial expenses, there it is. And same thing too with credit cards. I have a personal credit card, business credit card. The personal credit card is always paid. The business card is always paid. If there's a time, there's a month that I do keep a balance, it's on the business card, not on the personal card. Okay? Why? Because the personal card reports to your personal credit. If your personal credit reads that you have more than 30% of credit usage, let's say you have a $10,000 limit on your credit card, you have $4,000 of charge still left on it, you're showing to the credit bureaus they're using 40% credit utilization of your credit. That's not good. Yes, it has to be under 30%. If it's under 30%, it reduces your credit score. It's over 30%, it decreases your credit score. Less than that raises your credit score. Less debt, higher credit. More debt, lower credit score. Last question here. What habits will help develop a millionaire mindset? It's funny that you say that. What habits develop a millionaire mindset? I believe that being a millionaire today, or whatever financial goal you want to hit, being a 100,000-aire, 500,000-aire, a millionaire, billionaire, is a lot to do primarily with mindset. How you see the world, how you think things will determine how you see things. And how you see things will determine the things that you do. How you do things. And how you do things depends on the results you get in your life. But it starts with where? How you think things. If you go into this world knowing that you have God behind you, God's got you back, right? No weapon formed against me will prosper. If you have that mentality, right? Philippians 4:13, right? If you say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? Deuteronomy 8:18, God is giving you the power to create wealth, right? Right? Trust in Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord in all your ways. Acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. If you believe that, man, it's a mindset thing. Mindset thing, spirit thing, which manifests in your financial life. And if you live with these values and principles, it's not the values and principles of keeping up with the Joneses. They have it, I don't. It's not a good value principle to follow. They're a millionaire and I'm not. The better question is, how did they become a millionaire? So therefore you can become a millionaire. See, there's the same scenario, two different questions. How come they're a millionaire and I'm not? Better question is, how did they become a millionaire? How can I get that bread too as well? How do I change my bag so therefore I can get that type of lifestyle, so therefore I can create better options, choices, protection, and control in my life that I don't have in my current life? That's the better question you need to be asking. So the habits to develop under a millionaire mindset is always be hungry. Always be asking questions. Just because you have success today You're a 1-year success story. You're a 5-year success. You're a 10-year success story. Put it through a 20-year period. Put whatever you're doing, if it's right, put it through a 20-year period. Well, Matt, I'm 20. What are you talking about? I told I'm 40. Yeah, put it through a 20-year period. Then you can see if your philosophy was right. I can say that my philosophy to stick with insurance versus real estate or mortgages was right. I was slow and steady along the way. Early 2000 dot-com bubble. Everybody's collapsing, crying. What was I doing? Boom. I was still in it. Boom, boom. I was still, why? Because the products and services of this business didn't show losses to my clients, and because my clients didn't lose money, and I was able to pay out claims to my clients when tragedy struck, kept me in business. Because I provided a service that I actually came through with when push came to shove. People, when they buy a home, when the people buy a house, their best financial picture, to get the keys. For me, I show up in the worst financial time, so therefore they can keep the keys. That business philosophy paid off over a 20-year period. I was thinking about it in mid-2000s. That's why you saw the pictures early in this live that I was investing in real estate, because I was thinking about leaving the insurance business and getting involved in real estate just like everybody else was. I was almost caught up in everybody else is doing. Everybody's getting involved in mortgages and real estate. Let me do it too as well. I almost did, and for better or for worse, I just decided to say, let me just stick with my original decision, which is making the most out of my insurance business, because I knew this thing. I believed in this thing. I see me pay out the claims when push came to shove. I believe in what this product and service does of the life insurance industry and annuities when it comes to retirement planning and helping people during the worst financial times. If they have to go into a retirement home or nursing home, they have the financial resources to go and provide for that income without being a strain of church, charity, government, or family and friends. So in the 2000s, what solidified was me being involved in this business. And I said, let me just stick with it. You know what happened from 2000 to 2020? What happened to the stock market? Bam, took off. Second thought for me is like, what? Should I be in the financial advisory, investment advisory world? Should I get my Series 65 license? Should I get my licenses back again? I don't know. Should I? Let me just stick with this one. Insurance. Let me believe in cement. Let me just hone in on what I knew best, which is looking at clients in the eyes every day in the insurance business, saying your annuities, your fixed index annuities, your fixed index universal life insurance, your term insurance policies, when push came to shove, when we needed to file a claim, boom, here's your cash. Boom. You need to make a withdrawal? Here's your cash. Boom. You're going through a tragedy in life. By the way, just yesterday, we have a couple of our guys, tragedy in their family. Buddy lost his father, and another one lost her father yesterday. And guess what they're providing their family? A death benefit at the funeral. Not just prayers and condolences, a death benefit at the funeral. Why? Because they get their family a life insurance policy when they didn't think they needed it. Because in a multicultural community, they think, well, the last thing I'm going to buy. And then it's not only the last thing they buy, but they never buy it. And eventually, father time kicks in. The big man upstairs wants to call some of his children back home. And while they're called back home, guess what? The children here left on earth are able to be provided outside of their prayers and condolences. A tax-free check. So my point is, I'm glad I stuck with the life insurance industry going on 26 years now. And I also see that a lot of our population is getting laid off based on AI infrastructure or blockchain, et cetera, et cetera. Guess what's happening to the life insurance industry? People need a walking, talking commercial to provide financial literacy to the multicultural middle income demographic. And a lot of people aren't providing that conversation, not creating a dialogue for it to happen. We're here. We have 5,000 agents across the United States. We have over 40 offices across the United States. We're providing that dialogue. I'm personally going to be on a Keep the Keys book tour. Matter of fact, Darren just made a picture for me right here. Here's where we're going to be in the next 2 months. I was just in Miami. I'll be in Naperville next Thursday. I've been in Memphis, Germantown next Thursday after that. Thursday after that, I'll be in San Antonio. Thursday after that, I'll be in Little Rock, Arkansas. Wednesday or Thursday after that, I'll be in Sacramento, California. The next week after that, I'll be in Las Vegas. And in November, I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia, on the Keep the Keys book tour, because we're spreading this message. We're spreading this gospel. And by the way, if you're watching this right now, you'd like for me to come out to your seat and stay, put it in the comment section below. Let's see what we can do about putting together a book tour. I need a minimum of 50 people showing to a book tour stop for me to go out there. I fly on my own dime. But there's some protocols here. If you want a book tour in your location, I'd be happy to go out there to your real estate office, your mortgage office, your tax office, to talk to your clients, to talk to your associates, your agents, your loan originators, how to help your clients better prepare for the not just get the house, not just get the mortgage, but have a client retention plan so people come back to that tax office, come back to that mortgage office, come back to that realtor to do more business, because the keep the keys strategies instigate more conversations that happen long after the closing is done to buy the house or refinance that property, or in between tax returns that you're doing. So that being said, guys, what was your biggest takeaway? Love to know what it is. Put it in the comment section below. There's a lot of conversation happened today about, by the way, you want me to do Cincinnati? Love to do Cincinnati. Talk to Jamal and Alicia Akbar out there. Love to come out there. Oh, by the way, before I go, there's some poll results here, right? Would you take the lottery lump sum payments for a lifetime? People said no. A lot of people said no. Okay. Would you take a lottery lump sum or payments for a lifetime? So lump sum, yes. Okay. Versus payments. So 66% said lump sum, take the check now. 33% said take payments. For me, because I know what to do with the money, because here's the thing too as well. What do you think the value of $50 million is going to be 10 years from now? What's the value of $50 million? Is it still going to buy $50 million worth of stuff 10 years from now versus $50 million stuff today? What we have to factor in is inflation. That's what I'm factoring for. And I can make money, knowing what I know today, knowing I can make more money today, beating and exceeding inflation with the things and relationships I've established today. But I need the $4 million out today. But I ain't playing the Powerball. I'm betting on me. I'm betting on the big man upstairs, knowing that he's going to be open up doors for me and you, that if you pray for it and you're willing to work towards it and you honor him throughout that process, God's going to want to increase your territory, bless you with more talents, abilities, resources, and relationships to help you be a bigger blessing for the kingdom. That being said, guys, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the 7 Figure Squad YouTube channel. We're doing this now every Tuesday, 2 o'clock. Every Tuesday, 2 o'clock. We'll be here Tuesday, 2 o'clock. It's easy to remember now. Tuesdays at 2 o'clock here with the 7 Figure Squad. The Money Smart Guy here. We're going to be reacting to some things that's going on in the news today and some practical things you can do to apply to your life to help you think like a millionaire, to strategize like a millionaire. So therefore, one day you can become a first-generation cash flow millionaire. That being said, God bless you guys. Please put your biggest comments and biggest takeaways in the comment section below and share this video. From Dallas, Texas, I'm your Money Smart Guy. And until we meet again, continue smart, continue smart, and be money smart today. What if the biggest risk isn't never owning a home, but actually owning one and losing everything when life hits?
Look at this roller coaster.
Mortgage rates rose to 7.09%.
Another major insurance hike. The state just announced it's allowing
National Association of Realtors reported the worst month-to-month drop in
38-year low.
Right now, mortgage rates are near 7%. Homeowners insurance premiums are spiking. In Trump's new tax bill, it's shaking up home ownership, taxes, and retirement planning, just depending on how prepared you are. Keep the Keys isn't about politics. It's about protection. For homeowners, for future buyers, and for the professionals who serve them. Inside this book, I reveal 7 practical financial strategies I've used with my clients over the last 26 years to and through the Great Recession. It's helped shield families from foreclosure using living benefits, using annuities to replace mortgage payments in retirement, and helping realtors and loan officers create cash flow in between closings and to stay top of mind long after the deal is done. This isn't fluff. It's not theory. It's real strategies I've used during real moments during one of America's toughest times in its history. It's your financial blueprint to protect the dream that you've worked so hard to build. So whether you're renting, owning, selling, investing, or advising others on real estate, don't just chase closings or equity. Go get your copy of Keep the Keys, because it's one thing to get the keys, but it takes strategy to keep them.